Welcome to the roster overview guide for Marvel Tōkon. In this video, we're going to talk about every single character in the roster of the game and try to explain super quickly their playstyle, strengths, weaknesses, and also if they're good or not for beginners. Later down the line, I plan on making full in-depth guides for every single character in the game, so that's going to happen, over time. But today, we're going to just go quickly over every single character so you get an idea of their playstyle if you want to play them or not and pick them up. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the Marvel Tōkon content. And now let's get into the roster guide. Okay, so first we gotta talk about Captain America, and Cap in this game is pretty much like the quintessential beginner character because he just does a little bit of everything. He's the well-rounded, versatile character in the roster of this game. He has very easy combos. He also has, for example, a very easy moveset overall. Like he has a fireball, then he also has a neutral skip to cut the space in the mid-screen, right? And you can also do it in the air if you do the medium version of quarter circle back. Then on top of all of this, he also has a DP or like a reversal or Shoryuken style move. It is not a real reversal, if you know what that means. It is just an anti-air, so it works, to stop people when they try to jump in on you. Then he has his down-down input, which is this like attack that he does with his shield. This is mostly for combos. You're not gonna use this move in a lot of interactions that are not combos and specific block strengths, but it's still good to know that it's there, right? And then the other thing is that he has his unique, and it is a shield toss in which he can actually ricochet the shield in the walls of the stage. And you can do it in the air, in the ground, you just press unique and you get the ricochet. And if you press the unique again, when it comes back to Captain America, he can kick it, for example, or hit it in the air as well with a punch and it goes back down. So it is kind of like the most special part about the character, but it's not that hard to use. You're going to get used to it over time, and it's going to feel pretty strong if you actually know how to use it. And it's kind of like the only part of the character I would say that has a higher, like super crazy skill ceiling. And that's kind of like the entire character, It is the well-rounded, versatile pick that works for most people that are beginners. If you want a super balanced character that does a little bit of everything but doesn't necessarily shine on a specific department, then Captain America is for you. Something relevant to understand about Cap is that his quarter circle back heavy, it is actually an overhead attack. It is kind of like the only mix-up that the character has, and you can get full combos from this. So it is really strong, and it's kind of like the easiest way to open people out with Captain America. And then finally, he also has his back unique, which is a counter, okay? He just stands there with the shield. If you hit him, he hits you back, and you get an enhanced version of the, shield after as a projectile. And that's kind of it, but it essentially still works in the same way. And then when it comes to assist, Captain America actually has really good assists. He has his shield toss as his, projectile assist, and it's actually really good because it has a lot of hit stun. Like there's a lot of time to do combos after people get hit by the shield. Then he has also his DP as the anti-air, which is the decent anti-air assist. It's actually probably one of the best ones because it has a lot of range and horizontal kind of like space. It takes a decent amount of the screen. And then finally, his back assist is actually the counter, okay? He actually does the counter of the shield, but that's a follow-up after, like automatically. If you're super far away, he does the counter, and then like the dive kick, the quarter circle back medium. And if you're closer to the opponent, he does the counter and the follow-up of the counter if he doesn't get hit, and if he gets hit earlier, he still does it. So that is Captain America. He's a fairly simple character. I recommend you to play him if you're a beginner, because he's actually really good for people that are new, because his moveset is quite simple. He doesn't have super technical combo rounds at the start. You can do super easy combos and get decent damage. So it is a character that I would recommend to anybody that is new to fighting games, and that is Captain America. Then we get to Iron Man, and Iron Man in this game is on a first layer a sonar, okay? He has a lot of projectiles and long range attacks. For example, his unique is a multi-hit projectile. His quarter circle forward, light, medium, or heavy are the chest beam, full screen projectile as well. And then his down input is actually rockets, which is more for setups or set play, but it is still projectiles. But the thing is, I want to clarify that even though Iron Man has a lot of long range projectile attacks, I do not consider him only a sonar because he has the ability to cancel some of his projectiles into flights, okay? And when he actually is in the air flying, he has really good mix-up potential, because he has a cross-up normal that is really strong, okay? If you do jump medium, it has a very decent like range or, generous hitbox to do cross-up attacks. So it's really good to open people up. And Iron Man has an opportunity to do a situation or to get into a situation like that every time that he gets a projectile, because you can do, you know, fireballs into flight cancels and then jump or get into the flight and do a full cross-up, you know, mix-up from almost full-screen interactions thanks to the projectiles into the flight cancels. So I would say that that is really the identity of Iron Man. He's not really only a zoner. He's like, you know, this polar archetype of character that is a zoner in the long range, but what he really wants to do is go in with the flight and other movement options like his with air dash and start mixing you up with the cross-up medium and stuff like that in the air. He also has other options that are quite strong. For example, his quarter-circle back light or medium are actually neutral skips, like a lariat attack, and you can make it safe by calling an assist. So you have a way to cut the space in neutral that is actually going in and not only throwing projectiles. And if you do it in the air, you know, if you do the light version, it is still just a horizontal lariat, but the medium version is actually a dive kick. And the EX one, if you charge it, is also a dive kick. So the character is more versatile than people think. He's not only a zoner, and if you want to play Iron Man, you need to think about the character as more than just this long-range projectile style of character. And that's kind of like the identity of Iron Man, I would say. It's a mix of a zoner with a movement-heavy character with the flight and the 8-way air dash and all the mix-ups, right? And then also the neutral skips in the mid-range with the quarter-circle back light. And by the way, if you do the EX version of this move, it's almost a full-screen combo starter. So do not sleep on the versatility of Iron Man. He's more than just a zoner, and he's a really strong character and super, super fun. Now, he's not maybe the best for beginners because to unlock his potential, you do need to do flight cancels and more like technical stuff, but at the same time, he's not the hardest. So if you want to play Iron Man, still I would recommend you to play him. Just pick the character that you like and enjoy at the end of the day. And when it comes to his assists, he also has really good assists, okay? His projectile assist is his chest beam, which is one of the best projectile assists in the entire game. Then, for example, his DP assist is just like this knee into the air. He also can do that by himself, you know, when you're actually playing the character. And it is a pretty good anti-air. I forgot to mention that. And you can actually get full combos from the EX and the medium version because you can do flight cancels after, okay? If you do this into just up, you press up after, you keep, you know, up after the... Oh my god, I'm not getting the DP. You just keep up after you do the EX DP. You can actually get flight cancels into full combos. So the character has also a good anti-air game. I almost forgot to mention that. And finally, his back assist is insane because it's the rockets, okay? So this assist is really good. You can use it, for example, in neutral to actually kind of like protect yourself where you're trying to go in. Or when people are waking up, you can call, you know, Iron Man and put the rockets in and get a specific like setups to do some crazy stuff with the characters. So Iron Man, really strong, super good. Not that hard in terms of, you know, the first layer of the gameplay, but really high skill ceiling. Like if you want to master Iron Man, he's going to be a harder character to pick up. Then we move into Black Panther, and BP in this game, or Shuri, is essentially the biggest like mix-up or rush-down character in the game. She still has projectiles, right? She has a spear, and she can do it in the ground, in the air. Even she has anti-air spears, because you can do the medium version of quarter circle 4, which is a projectile, and she does an anti-air spear. So she's not, you know, like super one-dimensional, but the strongest part of the character is the fact that her unique allows her to do unique movement options that are not dependent on the universal, you know, dashes in the game. So for example, you can cancel any attack like your spear into unique, and you do a projectile into a full mix-up opportunity, and when you actually hit people with the spear, you can even get, you know, full combos and stuff like that. So the character is the most kind of like rush down style character in the roster, I would say. And if that is the style of pick that you like, if you like to go in and mix your opponent up, you gotta play Shuri or Black Panther in this game. And of course the unique, which is this unique dash, you know, that she has, is not only forward, it has directions. Like if you press unique and down, for example, she does actually go down and do a cross up if you're super close to your opponent, which is obviously thought out so that she can mix people up, right? She can open people up on defense. Then she also has this attack, which is mostly for combo routing, but you're gonna see it maybe sometimes fight people in the mid-range because you can call an assist and then get a full combo from this. So it's not that bad at all, right? And that's kind of like the whole identity of the character. She does have other attacks, but they're more niche. For example, her kunais, which is the down-down input. You're probably going to use it mostly for like setups and offense. Or sometimes, if you want to stop your momentum in the air, you can throw the kunais and she kind of like stays, you know, on place and throws the 3 kunais down and things like that. and she also has a DP. But her DP is not really an N-tier. It's more like a, you know, combo fodder move. You're going to use it to extend your combos, and that's it. Her real N-tier is just the spear, the quarter circle forward medium. And that's kind of like the entire identity of the character. Of course, a lot of movement, right? Like we said before, the character can move like crazy. Just literally press the unique and see all the stuff that she can do. She can fly and move all over the screen to mix you up, which is really, really strong. And then the other thing that I almost forgot is that she has this mechanic, okay? This is her back heavy. And it is almost like a DP style of attack because it has armor. And it also charges like her mechanic. You know, if you keep it pressed, she does like this key charge, right? But now we have the entire bar. So she stops key charging to get the mechanic. But if the bar behind, which is the stuff that allows her to actually dash, right? It was low, you can just keep charging it and you get all your resources back to do your crazy, crazy movement options and stuff of that sort. So that is the identity of Black Panther in this game. When it comes to assists, she does have decent assist attacks because she has the spear as her fireball. Then also, if you put her actually as your DP assist, she does the DP version of the you know, spear. So she has like double spear projectiles in first and second assist slot. And then in the last one, she actually does the kunais, okay? She does two versions of the kunais. One that is like up close and then the long range one. So I would say that if you want to play Black Panther, you can for sure put her in any slot. Like she's going to work in most of the assists. And she's obviously also a really good point character. I would say that most people that are going to play Black Panther are actually going to play her as point. But she can still work as an assist character. And that is essentially the identity and like the overall playstyle of Black Panther in this game. And now we move into the Hulk. And Hulk in this game actually has surprisingly quite a complete moveset. Of course, the most important thing is his gamma mechanic that you get by pressing unique. And every time that you hit somebody with a unique attack, you get a buff. And when you get the highest level of the buff, you get better movement and also more damage in your attacks and even different supers, okay? He gets like different animations that do more damage in some of his supers and multiple different attacks. Look at all that damage from that level 1 super because of the Gamma Spark. He also has, for example, with down unique, this is Stomp attack that you're mostly going to use full screen to just deal with people that are throwing a lot of projectiles, right? Because you can do this while they throw a projectile and you hit them, then you have an opportunity to go in and stuff like that. And then his special moves, he has a lariat style of attack that is a neutral skip. The medium version has armor. This is quarter circle back. And it is a really good neutral skip because it is almost full screen with armor. Super, super good. And if you do the EX version, it is even faster. It has a little less range, but it's super, super fast. And then he also has this attack, which is his quarter circle forward. And it is like a projectile and also a broader style of attack because he can hit you either with the actual clap, you know, in your face, or he can hit you with the later part, which is a projectile. So it is, again, very interesting that in this game, Hulk has a relatively like versatile moveset that maybe compared to other Marvel fighting games in the past, he seems really, really overall kind of like more well-rounded than you would think. And finally, he has his down input and his DP, okay? The DP is just an N tier, really good though because it covers a lot of space and has armor. And then the down input is actually a mix-up. If you do the light version, it's just for combos to extend your combo routes, but the medium and the EX version are armored overheads. Only the medium, sorry, only medium has armor, but both are overheads from what I understand. But the medium one is the best one because you can get full combos from the medium version. I don't know why they did this. It's kind of crazy that we're playing a version of Hulk that has an armored overhead that is not even that slow. Like, it feels faster than Captain America's overhead, for example. So, really strong and simple. That's, you know, the overall game plan of Hulk and what he wants to do. Go crazy with the unique and the armor, then get your gamma buff to have, you know, higher damage and better combos, and then cut the space in neutral with your lariat. Also use the claps to try to control the little space that you can with the later part of the projectile, and use the down unique to deal with sonars so that you actually, you know, kind of like stuff them out of their projectiles before they actually do them. And that's Hulk essentially. And then in terms of assist, I would say that I would not use Hulk as my assist. To be honest, I would play Hulk as my point if I wanted to play him because he doesn't have the best assist. He has the Stomp as the projectile one. Then also, for example, the Stomp, the projectile one. Then also you have the DP style of attack. That's arguably the best one that Hulk has, I would say. If you really want to play Hulk as an assist, that's kind of like the best option. Play him as your N-tier assist. And then finally, we have his unique or his back assist, which is actually just the rocks, you know, and he doesn't even throw the rock. It's just the multi-hit light version. So you're going to use it up close, mostly, to just extend combos and pressure. So if you really want to play Hulk, it's either point or anti-air assist. I don't see any reason to play him as your projectile or your back assist because there are much better options. But that's, you know, the overall game plan and identity of Hulk. And now we move into a Storm. And a Storm, I would say, is actually one of the more technical characters in the roster of the game because her moveset is very situational. It feels a lot of the time that the way Storm is designed is that you take a lot of micro decisions when you play her. And for example, she doesn't have a regular fireball. She can put down tornadoes, and if you press the unique after, she throws them as actual fireballs. And that is already, like, you know, a layer of complexity much bigger than many of the other regular characters in the game. And then on top of that, for example, she can also move while she's doing her own special moves with her unique. For example, you can do Motorcycle Forward Medium, which is this lightning attack. And then if you do forward unique after, she moves with the lightning. So she can create some crazy, you know, like neutral skip interactions thanks to the usage of her unique, which allows her to use wind to move while doing special moves or attacks, and even also to get, you know, like unique movement options in the air and in the ground. So overall, it's just that to me, Storm feels like a relatively technical character. Like if you're new to fighting games, playing her is probably gonna feel quite hard, and a lot of the time you're gonna feel like you're losing because you don't know what to do with like how specific and also situational some of his attacks, her attacks, sorry, are going to be. So I would say that, you know, if you're a super beginner level player, I would maybe avoid playing Storm at the start. She's not impossible to play, but also not necessarily the easiest. And then she also has a command grab. I almost forgot to mention it, but she has a command grab style move, which is her DP. She doesn't have like a regular anti-air. In her DP motion, she just does this command grab style of attack. And then if you do down, down in the air instead of the ground, you get another type of attack. You don't get a tornado, you actually get an ice style of like set play projectile. And that's kind of like Storm, you know? The quarter circle back, this one is mostly for combos, and it is like the anti-air option that you have if you do the medium one. And she can also flight, in case that you didn't know about that. So that's kind of like the overall identity of Storm. She's a relatively, you know, hard character. Like, she's relatively technical. She's also a bit like, I would say, unorthodox compared to other of the characters in the roster, and can also feel not that intuitive. And then when it comes to her assist, she actually has decent assists because she does the version of her tornado that is a regular projectile. Then also, if you actually put her as your DP assist, she does the tornado DP, which is the quarter circle back medium that she has, right? And then her back assist is actually like an entire usage of the unique of her moveset because she like sucks the opponent into a tornado. And that's kind of like the overall moveset of Storm. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend you to play her if you're super new to fighting games because she's gonna be a bit overwhelming, I would say, at the start. She's not gonna be that simple to play. But still, if you like her, you can give her a try. And she's gonna be a character that's gonna have probably a lot of specialist players. So there's gonna be a lot of very interesting tech on how to play her and how to actually get good at her. Then we move into Magik, and Magik in this game is a relatively simple character also, I would say. She just has like really big sword attacks with her mediums, right, her heavies. So she's the mid-range monster of the game if you want to play a sword character. She's really good in the mid-range. And then her special moves are quite simple as well. She has a fireball, she has this pillar attack, which is almost like a fireball, but it's mostly related, I would say, to like set play and some setups, right? The EX version is better as a zoning tool because it's 2 pillars instead of only 1. And then she has a multi-hit like Rekka style of attack that you can do in combos to extend them, right? Then you call an assist and you get your combo route. If you do the medium version, it actually allows you to do combos by yourself because it is like a launcher. So it's a very, very simple character overall. Then she has a DP, or like an anti-air style of move in her DP motion, which is really good though. It's very, very strong because it has like decent horizontal range since she does it with the sword. It's arguably one of the best anti-airs in the game, I would say, or DPs in the entire roster as an anti-air attack. And then finally, her unique are portals. Okay, she puts down portals, and if you're close to them enough, they get like bigger, and you can press the unique button again, and you teleport. And if you press, for example, the unique and forward, you teleport into a cross-up. If you press unique and up, you actually teleport into the air. So you can do essentially anything that you want with the overall options to move after teleporting. And if you press unique after teleporting again, you get a follow-up, you know, an actual attack that works like a way to maybe get some people for surprise for cross-ups and stuff like that. And if you do it in the air, it's actually a dive kick, okay? And the dive kick is a combo extension tool. Like, you can use it in your combos. If I'm not mistaken, you can put like a portal and down after you call an assist in your combos. And you do something like this, and you get the, you know, dive kick, and you get your full combo extension without using meter or anything like that. And that's Magik. That's essentially the character. You can also throw projectiles through the portal. That's another thing that is important that I forgot to mention. And if you do any sort of special move that has a projectile, like her pillars or her quarter circle forward move, then you can get like cross-ups with the projectiles and some crazy interactions, which are really strong actually. So you need to get used to understanding how you can use overall like the options from the portal for your special moves, or also your teleports and things like that. But that's everything with the character. That's kind of like the hardest part, and that's it. It's not like she has insane technical combos or like some crazy super hard to use special moves that are very niche. Like, overall, her moveset is very straightforward and relatively simple. She's a big, you know, sword character with big normals that has projectiles and has combo extensions with multi-hit attacks, has a good anti-air, and then has portals to either do crazy mix-ups with special moves or to actually just teleport herself and attack the opponent. And that's, you know, essentially the overall identity of the character. And then in terms of assists, she does have really good assists actually, because she has her regular fireball as the fireball assist. Then if you put her as the DP assist, she has her crazy, you know, sword DP, which has more range horizontally than many of the other characters in the roster. And then her unique or last, you know, back assist is actually a 3-way pillar, which is really, really strong. Okay, super, super good. So if you want to play Magik, I would say you can play her in any position, but you should probably prioritize either playing her point, you know, actually so controlling the character, or playing her as the last assist, because this back assist is absolutely nuts. Okay, it's one of the best in the game. It has a ton of hit stun, multi-hit, covers a ton of space. It's really, really strong. So that's Magik and her overall playstyle. Then we move into Wolverine, a fan favorite. And Wolverine in this game is actually relatively well-rounded because he has projectiles, right? He has, for example, some dive kick style attacks that work like mix-ups. And on top of all of this, he also has, for example, armored moves. So he's not that one-dimensional, even though it is obviously super centered in his buff mechanic that he gets from his unique. His unique is actually just attacks with his claws. And if you get somebody with a unique and then you press it again, for example, he gets this buff in which he like screams and gets this red aura on top of him. And if you get this on a regular like combo after, you actually get, you know, combo extensions by yourself, because the buff allows him to extend his combos without assists. And that's kind of like the whole idea of the character. You know, you get your buff and you extend your combos for free without using meter and things of that sort. He does have decent mix-up ability as well, because from the unique he has, for example, an overhead. If you do forward unique, he does an overhead attack. And if you have the buff, it is a full combo starter. You don't need an assist to get a combo from the overhead with the buff, which is really, really strong. And stuff like that, right? I dropped the combo, but you get the idea. Then he has down unique, which is a low from the same interaction, and it gives you, again, a combo if you had the buff. And his back unique is actually an armor move. This is like a stab with the claws. You can actually keep the button pressed, and it gets a little charge. And then you get a full combo from it, even if you don't have actually the full like buff on top, because it gets like a crumple state. So you can extend the combo for free without needing to actually have the buff from the back unique if you charge it. And then if you have the buff and you do back unique again, it has a follow-up. So essentially, like, the overall, you know, idea of the character is that if you don't have the buff, all unique attacks are to get the buff. The goal is to get the actual power-up. And if you have already the buff, all your unique attacks become combo starters or combo extensions. That's kind of like the entire idea of the character. He also has decent anti-air attacks, because his attacks from his DPs have armor and they have different angles. For example, the light version has more horizontal range, the medium one is more like a traditional DP, then the EX version has kind of like a mix of both, and it works for combos as well. So the character is, again, more versatile than people think, but it's obviously super center in using the unique, in getting that buff up and using your mix-ups from the unique and also the armor to actually, you know, endure some of the opponent's attacks. And that's the idea of Wolverine. There's not that much else to say because it is all about getting the buff and kind of like pursuing this rushdown style play style that allows you to get in to then run your offense with the unique and actually open people up. Then when it comes to actually his assists, he does have decent assists. Like he has a regular fireball assist and up close it's a 2-hit attack, so it's pretty decent. Then if you put him as your DP, he does the medium version of his DP, which is not the best because it has like very little horizontal range, but it's not worse or the worst either. And then his back assist is the armor, you know, stab with the claw. It's not the best. I think that other characters have better assists than Wolverine, but it's also not the worst. It's like, you know, relatively decent. But I would say that if you really want to play Wolverine, I would just put him as my point. I would actually, you know, control the character. I wouldn't play him as like one of my assists because it feels like a waste of a slot when you have a character that has so many good ways to run the offense and also like have a decent matchup against most of the characters in the roster in terms of, you know, dealing with zoners and other style of opponents. So if you want to play Wolverine, try to play him point or play him maybe as your projectile assist because other characters have better, you know, like DPs and also back assists. And always remember to abuse the unique is the best thing about the character. Get that buff up and then get your crazy combos, you know, from your overheads, from your lows, and all the interactions that you can. So that's kind of like the overall idea of how to play Wolverine. Then we move into Danger, and Danger is arguably one of the most like weird characters in the roster. She has these mines that she gets from her unique button, and the mines can like store some of her projectiles and like attacks. They just stay there, and if you wait a while, they actually like explode, and you get a setup or some interaction from it. But she's pretty much a weirdo. Like, she's arguably the weirdest character in the entire roster. She has decent projectiles. She also has this lariat style of attack to cut the space in neutral. And then her DP is actually this drill that has like decent range. It is like a mid-range style of attack. If you do the medium version, it actually has a lot of range. It's almost full screen. And of course, you can call an assist after this and get a full combo from it. She also has a hover dash, okay? She doesn't have a regular dash. She actually has like this weird, you know, mid-flight version of a dash. So that's another thing that can make her a bit weird. I would say that if you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend you to play Danger because it's going to be a little bit unintuitive and it's going to be very different from everybody else. Like, the stuff that you learn to play Danger is probably not going to transfer very well to the rest of the characters in the roster. And that's her moveset. And she also has the teleport. I almost forgot about it, but she also has a teleport style of move as well if you press down, down, and one of your buttons. So that's the overall identity of the character. She's not necessarily like the hardest character in the game or anything like that. It's just that she's weird, okay? She feels weird. She's different from everybody else in the roster. And if you want to play her, it's probably going to be a lot of laughing and like understanding the overall intricacies, of the character that are going to be non-transferable to the rest of the roster. And then her assists are actually pretty decent. If you want to run her as your assist, she has a projectile, which is pretty good, right? Then, if you put her actually as your DP assist, she has the teleport, because that version of the teleport up close has a hitbox, okay? It's like an explosion style of attack. And then her back assist is actually the drill into throwing it, you know, like a projectile. Her back assist is actually pretty good. I would say that if you want to play Danger, you can play her either as the point or any of the assists. Like, she doesn't feel like a character that needs to be point or in specific assist like other picks in the roster. But again, she's a little bit unorthodox, so think about playing her, you know, a bit. Especially if you're new, it's probably gonna take a while to understand her, and also the skills are not gonna transfer that well into the other characters. But if you like her, go ahead. She's very unique. She's probably gonna be quite fun if you actually understand how to use her moveset, and she's gonna be one of the more interesting characters in the roster. And now we gotta talk about Spider-Man. And Spider-Man in this game, in my opinion, is pretty much defined by movement and mix-up ability. His unique allows him to do web swings, and you can do it in any like direction, right? And it's gonna give you a different type of web swing. You can even hang from the ceiling of the stage if you press up and unique and you just stay there, which is really, really cool. And of course, the web swing allows you to just cut the space in the neutral. For example, you can literally just web swing, then call an assist to make it safe if the person blocks it, and you get a full mix-up, interaction or opportunity. You can also get combos if you actually hit people with it, because you can do normals after the web swing. You don't need to cancel it necessarily to the follow-ups from the unique itself. And that type of stuff allows you to do some crazy combos from super long range interactions with the unique. And then on top of that, he has a really good mix-up because he has this, which is his heavy, but if you actually charge it, if you just keep the heavy button pressed, he does a second attack that is an overhead, and you can call an assist to get full combos from it. And then if you do quarter circle back heavy, it gives you a low with his EX move that is kind of like a DP style of attack. And it, of course, gives you full combos, specifically in the corner. So it is one of the strongest things about this character, that he can just mix you up in whatever way he wants and kind of get opportunities to open you up every time because of the overhead with the heavy charge, and then also the low with the EX quarter circle back move. So yeah, that's kind of the identity of the character, just all the movement right, then also all the opportunities to mix people up with your attacks. And finally, I would say that also Spider-Man has decent assists, okay? He's not necessarily the worst character in the game when it comes to trying to use assists, because he has his multi-hit projectile as his projectile assist, which is really, really strong. Then if you put Spider-Man as your DP character, he actually does a DP. He does an N-tier style move, which he can do as well when you play him. And finally, his back assist is actually a full-on web swing, but he actually takes the opponent in. He gets the hit from people and then calls them in with another web. So it is actually one of the best back assists, I would say, in the entire game, because it allows you to get combos from full screen interactions with it, which is really, really strong. So if you want to play Spider-Man, you can arguably use him in any position in the entire team. All of his assists are pretty good. And then of course also as a point character, he shines a lot because he's really, really slippery, hard to deal with. And if people don't know what to do against Spider-Man, it's gonna be really hard to play against him overall. And now we move into Ms. Marvel. And Ms. Marvel, in my opinion, is actually one of the best characters in the entire game for beginners, because she's so obnoxious to deal with. And she's really strong actually if you know how to use her right, okay? Her unique is a full screen neutral skip that is actually plus on block. So if people block this, it's your turn again. And if you actually hit them, you get a full combo from it, which is really, really strong. Then on top of that, for example, her quarter circle forward is an almost full screen giant punch, which is really good to just play neutral in these ranges outside of using the unique, right? And overall, I would say that the unique also works like a movement tool, because you can do it to the other side of the screen. You can do back unique and she goes into the wall instead of actually hitting somebody. You can do the same with also down, and you get this dodge style of attack that can actually be used also to go through other of your opponent's attacks, right? Because it is invincible, and then you actually punish them when they're whiffing, which is really, really strong. So overall, I would say that Ms. Marvel is perfect if you're new to the game, especially if you want to run, some gimmick that is super hard to deal with. This character is for you 100%. And then on top of all of this, she has some of the best mix-up in the game, because her quarter circle back, which is this attack, is actually an overhead, okay? And you can get full combos from this attack. For example, from the medium version, you can also use the EX version to extend your combos. So overall, she's really simple and quite strong if you know how to use her. So she has this in mix-up with the EX and medium quarter circle back for the overheads. She has crazy neutral skips with her unique, and also a really good neutral control in the mid-range with her quarter circle forward light, for example. And this move also works almost like a neutral skip, because she does move forward if you do the light version, but it is not, a full on combo starter unless you use an assist. But it is still pretty good to have something like this to just cut the space, and then you call an assist and you get your combo. To me, that seems pretty strong if you ask me. And boom, you get your full combo route. So yeah, that's kind of the overall identity of Ms. Marvel. She also has this, which is her essentially anti-air and also combo photo style move. If you use the EX version, you can control the direction in which it goes. And that means that you can use it sometimes for combos or also for mix-ups. And just, that's the overall identity of Ms. Marvel, It's like a gimmicky character that is really good for beginners. It's hard to deal with. And it's also quite strong if the other guy doesn't know what to do. It is a knowledge check style of character. And then her assist when it comes to her assists, she's actually really decent because her full screen assist for the fireball assist, sorry, her fireball assist, my bad, is a full screen, just giant arm. Then her DP assist is actually her like tornado style of attack, and it's really good. It covers a ton of space vertically. And then finally, her back assist is actually, if I'm not mistaken, oh wait, I need to change it. Yeah, exactly. It's the dodge into an attack. This is more like a niche. It is kind of weird, actually, I would say, as an assist. If you really want to play Miss Marvel, I would mostly use her as either point, projectile, or DP assist, because the last one, there are other characters that have like better back assists, but it's still, you know, not the worst. It's still pretty decent. And that is Miss Marvel. If you want a gimmicky character that is easy, that is going to win you a lot of games, and it's also at the end of the day going to make your experience, you know, fun and quite hilarious, then Miss Marvel is for you. And now let's talk about a Star-Lord. And a Star-Lord in this game, I would say, is pretty much like a well-rounded character. He has a lot of projectile style of attacks, but he also has really good normals. For example, he has a really good mix-up with his forward heavy. So he's super like well-balanced, but he's obviously very, very centered on his unique, which is this a specific like gun attack that has elemental effects, okay? And if you press a direction and the unique button, you change the elemental effect. And if you have, for example, the heavy version, it helps you to do combos because it has a ton of hit stun. So it is like a good combo extension tool. If you press back and also the unique, you get the ice gun. And it also allows you to do combos in some crazy setups because, for example, you can call the ice gun, wait until people get the restand, and you open them up with an overhead and then call an assist. So there is a lot of like tech related to playing Star-Lord that is going to be mostly connected to you understanding how to use the elemental attacks that he has. That's gonna be like the most basic understanding of the playstyle of the character. And he's of course a decent zoner because he has a lot of gun attacks that are full screen projectiles, right? You can do them in the air as well. So overall, this character has nothing to envy to like the zoners of the game. He can maybe enter in that category as well. And then his DP is actually bombs. Okay, he throws bombs that are also for combos. For example, you can also use them full screen to get some specific interactions, maybe with assist. You can assist after you get the bomb right, and you can maybe get a full combo. Yeah, so the character overall is just very, very versatile and super kind of like straightforward, even though he is like a well-rounded character. So I would say if you want a character that has good like overall zoning ability with a lot of gun attacks both in the air and in the ground, also with the bombs right, but also has like more tricky mix-ups and set play because of all the bombs up close, and also the usage of, for example, your guns into some like mix-up restands and stuff like that, then Star-Lord is the character for you 100%. I think that he's going to do a lot for you if you like that mix between zoning, mix-up, and a more like tricky playstyle. He's going to be quite an addition if that is what you really like on a character. So yeah, that is the playstyle of Star-Lord. And then his assists are of course also really good because he has a ton of projectile attacks. So for example, he has a multi-hit projectile on his first assist. On the second one, he has a DP style move. It's probably not the best one when compared to other of the, you know, DPs in the game, but it's also not bad at all. And then the back assist that he has is actually just the elemental attack that you have in your gun. So for example, if I actually change the Star-Lord into the ice gun and then I put Peni in, I'm pretty sure that it actually gives me the ice attack. Yeah, there you go. So that is the overall options for Star-Lord, his playstyle, his assists. I would say that he's actually really good for beginners. Like, he's not that hard to play, and is also like a relatively simple character on a first glance because of his zoning ability and his mix-ups. The hard part about Star-Lord over time is going to be just crazy setups with the bombs and all the guns, but if you're new, I would say that Star-Lord is still a great character to pick. And now it is the turn for Peni Parker, and Peni, I would say, is also one of the best like beginner-friendly characters in the roster of this game. And the reason for that is that her moveset is quite straightforward. Like, for example, her unique is just random items. Over time, if you want to get insane at Peni, you are going to need to understand like the usage of the items and what a specific function each one of them has. But at the start, you can literally just mash the unique and get your crazy fireballs and, you know, all the gadgets on the screen, and it's going to be fun and strong. It's going to be quite good. Then on top of that, for example, she has another fireball outside of the random items, which is the quarter circle forward input. And the medium version of this fireball is one of the best fireballs in the game because it's actually a full-on combo starter. Like, if you actually hit somebody with medium quarter circle forward, you can get full combos with Peni. It is actually kind of nuts that she has something like that, but it is really, really strong and easy. Like, you get super easy combos from a full screen fireball, really, really strong. Then, for example, her quarter circle back is just this kind of like lunging attack that works for just combos and extending them, or also to end them, you know, kind of like as a combo ender. And you can also use it as a kind of like neutral skip because she moves forward a lot when you do it, and then you call an assist and you can get a full combo without any issue whatsoever. So it's really, really strong. And then finally, her down input is actually this, like, I don't know how to call it, but this weird, you know, jumping attack. And it's really annoying because this move actually can cross you up. For example, if you're up close, if you do the EX version, it gives Peni full combos. So like, dude, it's stronger than people think. And then the medium one, I think, also gives you full combos, right? No, it's only the EX. Okay, I got confused there with the version of the attack. But overall, just Peni's moveset is fairly simple, fairly straightforward, really obnoxious to deal with. I'm gonna say, like, it's really hard to play against a good Peni. And then you have this one also that I almost forgot, which is the VP. And this move, it works for everything also. Like, it's a combo starter. Like you're seeing right there, it allows you to do rejump combos. It is also like a neutral skip tool. So like, dude, Peni just has everything that you need in a character. She's arguably one of the most like annoying characters in the roster, but at the same time, she does everything. Like, she has the gadgets, she has good fireballs, she has good neutral skip tools. Then she has this decent mix-up tool that is also just useful to kind of like mental stack people, because with all the options that Peni has, when you get this EX, you know, cross-up, it's not gonna be that easy to react to it because you're gonna be confused with everything that Peni is doing with the gadgets and all of that. And then she also has this, right? The DP, which is her web swing, or the version that she has of a web swing. So yeah, Peni does a little bit of everything. She's fairly easy, super simple, really annoying, and really, really strong on paper if you're new to the game, because people are not gonna be able to deal with this character consistently, like never, if you're playing on a lower level of skill, you know, when you're new. And then with the assist, she has the projectile assist, but the light one, not the medium one, but it's still really good. It's a multi-hit assist with a ton of hit stun. Then her DP assist is just her like weird web swing that she has, right? The version of a web swing that she has, but it is only vertical. It's not the full-on web swing that she does when you're using the character. And then the back assist is actually the gadgets, okay? She throws 2 gadgets, and from what I understand, they are random. Like, they change, yeah. So it depends on the luck that you get, but you get through. And then the back assist is actually the gadgets, okay? They are random from what I understand. You can actually get any of the ones that she has. So it depends on how lucky you get, but it is still a pretty good back assist because arguably all her gadgets are pretty good. Like, she doesn't really have super weak versions of the gadgets. So I would say that if you have, you know, Peni in your team, you can play her in any position. Like, any of the positions for her are okay, 100%. So if you're new, I recommend you to play Peni alongside some of the other like beginner level characters that I've been talking about until now in the video. But she for sure is one of the best like beginner characters in the entire roster of the game. Okay, so now we gotta move into Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider is defined, in my opinion, by pretty much 2 things. The first one are his super long range normals. Okay, his stand heavy, for example, his crouching medium, also his heavy in the air. They're all incredibly long, and you can get combos from all of these interactions if you have, for example, the resources to do the EX version of your core Siku back special move. You can get combos from stuff like that, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it and you take into consideration what this character can do from those ranges. Is super, super strong. So if you want to play a character that has super long range attacks and can get full combo, you know, conversions from it, you should maybe give Ghost Rider a try if you actually like him, because he's gonna be one of the strongest characters in the game in terms of range, in terms of also the normals that he, you know, uses, and his regular attacks, not special moves. And then the other thing that I would say defines Ghost Rider is actually mix-up, because he has this attack, which is quarter Siku back, you know, light, medium, heavy, whatever version you do. And if you actually cancel it into, for example, forward light, forward medium, or forward heavy, he gets a 50-50 mix-up because you can do quarter circle back and then the medium follow-up with forward as well, sorry, and you get a low. Or you can do that into heavy and you get an overhead. So every time that this character does a string on somebody, you can do something like this. And then you call an assist and reset your offense, for example, from that overhead ride and get another open up. So the character is pretty much, I would say, kind of like a mix-up heavy character, but not on a traditional sense that you would think on a tag fighting game. It's not that he's gonna cross you up like crazy or do crazy high-low mix-up from like a specific assist interaction or stuff like that. He just has integrated mix-up in his Rekka style move. You know, low with the medium follow-up or, you know, overhead with the heavy follow-up. And if you do the light follow-up, it's actually just an empty dash. So it also works to sometimes reset your offense and stuff like that. He also has a command grab, okay? His DP is actually a full-on command grab that is going to help you to open people up on defense, which is pretty good. And then his down input is this like fire that he puts in the ground. It's kind of like the only neutral control tool that he has. Or fireball style attack that you're also going to use maybe for zoning, right? And if you look at the screen right there at the bottom, he actually has also a meter, you know, and if I go all the way up and use a ton of fire attacks without, you know, trying to think about the meter, you overheat, okay? And that is kind of like the unique mechanic of Ghost Rider. And when you have like zone 2, for example, attacks instead of zone 1, they do more damage and they have like better properties than when you don't use that, you know, a specific unique meter at all. So the character does have like a unique mechanic to his moveset, like many of the other picks in the roster. And you have to think about how to manage it. And the way in which you manage it is that all the attacks that you do that are not on actual special moves that use fire, and you use, for example, your unique instead of that, this attack right here, the zone or the meter goes down, right? If you use this one also, for example, even if he uses fire, it also helps the meter to go down. A lot of his unique attacks actually are to manage the resource of his unique mechanic. And that is overall the identity of Ghost Rider. You know, he's a big range attack character with all his normals, then also mix up heavy with his, you know, follow-ups from his Rekkas, right? And then he has some, you know, fireballs with his down input, also mix up with the command grab, right? Which is the DP input and stuff like that. That is overall how you play Ghost Rider and what exactly you do with him when you actually want to try him out. And his assists are also pretty decent because his forward assist, even though it's not a fireball, is still almost like a full screen attack because it's just, you know, the chain and that's it. So it's pretty good. Then you also have as a DP, that is his unique in the air. So it's not the best. It's more like almost like a, what is it called? Like an air-to-air assist more than an actual DP, right? And then his back assist is actually his full screen version of the fire that he puts in the ground, which is pretty good. I would say that this is a pretty good back assist just to cut up some space in some specific interactions in neutral, and it has so much hits on that it's going to allow you to do like almost whatever combo you want, right? So pretty strong. And that is Ghost Rider. That is the overall, you know, play style of Ghost Rider, what he likes to do, and what exactly you need to understand about him to start playing him. I would say that he's pretty decent for beginners. He's obviously harder than, you know, Captain America or Miss Marvel, only because he has this unique meter that you need to manage, but he's not that hard to play if you actually give him a try. He's very simple, and his game plan is pretty straightforward. And now we move into Blade, and Blade, in my opinion, and also to my surprise, to be completely honest with you, feels like a well-rounded character. He just does a little bit of everything. He has multi-hit projectile attacks. He also has, for example, his unique, which is a full screen like neutral skip. And if you actually hit people with this, you get a full combo from it because it allows you to extend the combo for free. So it is a really strong mechanic against people that, for example, don't like to block, essentially, because it's going to allow you to extend and get crazy combos without even necessarily using that many resources, because also this character can extend his own combos with his unique. So you can use like the first, you know, slot of the unique because you have 3, right? And with that, you start your combo, and then the other 2, use them to extend the combo. So the character overall just feels like very versatile. Again, good projectiles, you know, good neutral skips. Of course, if people block this, right? If people block the unique, you do need to call an assist to make it safe and then extend your pressure. Then also, for example, he has decent neutral skips because he can do quarter stick back, medium, or light or heavy, and he gets this like a slash attack with his sword. The medium version, for example, that has a lot of range, and if you hit somebody with this, you actually get a full combo. So again, like the character does everything. He feels like he doesn't have any weakness on paper because he's very, very versatile. So if you want a character that feels like he can do a little bit of everything and it doesn't feel super hard to play, I would say that Blade is for you 100%. One thing that is cool about Blade that I really like is his down special move, which is this like multi-hit boomerang style of attack, because every time that you get Oki, or you make somebody actually have to deal with you on offense when they wake up, you can throw this. And if they are like stuck in place with the multi-hit attacks, you can use it to, for example, do cross-ups while they get hit by the multi-hit attack. You do like an air dash ride and you hit them with a cross-up and stuff like that. So overall, I would say that Blade is a character that does everything, that is also relatively simple, but a bit harder than someone like Captain America, for example, right? He's like a more intermediate level style of character, but he really just does everything. He has all the tools that you need to actually learn how to play the game, and he feels really strong. Like when you start to understand how to use his unique ride and also all his special moves, he can feel really, really dominant in the gameplay of this game, especially because it feels like it's hard to deal with him, but it's very easy to do what he wants to do. You know what I mean? And then his assists are actually also really good. Like he has the gun as one of the assists, the projectile assist, right? Then his DP is actually like a full-on anti-air sword attack, which is his DP motion when you actually use him, okay? If you do DP motion with light, you get this attack. And if you do the medium or the heavy version, it's just this multi-hit like combo fodder moves. And then his back assist is actually almost like a C assist from Dragon Ball Fighters, you know? Like it's a multi-hit full screen assist because he does his unique into a dive kick. And then if you see Blade hit somebody with this, you know, you can just run up, get your full combo. So yeah, overall, I feel like Blade is going to be one of the strongest characters at the start of the game. Even though this video is not a tier list, I want to mention it because he's also really good for beginners. So if you want to play a character that feels super strong and also super easy, you know, I would say Blade is for you, and he does everything, and he's not that hard to play. And now we gotta talk about Deadpool, and Deadpool is a character that I would say is actually really hard to play. Like, they made him quite a complex character if you want to get the most of him. If you just want to play him on a very basic level or way, he has, you know, like multi-hit guns, right? He has like a neutral skip style of attack with his quarter circuit back, a medium, and then also he has like a regular style of DP. So on a first layer, he is quite easy. But then you get his unique mechanic, which is that he can actually do different special moves or new attacks if you use great health, okay? If you press the unique attack, you can like damage yourself. And then after that, you can do moves that don't exist. And like the moveset, if you don't have great health. For example, right there, I did one of Scorpion's moves from Mortal Kombat, right? Then, for example, I can do an electric from Tekken if I actually do it right away. And it even combos from this attack. So it is kind of like a relatively, I would say, hard character to get into if you are not into fighting games from the start or from before, because he's gonna have so many moves, okay? Like, he has so many different inputs, so many different attacks. So if you really want to get the max, you know, level of like optimization from Deadpool over time, you do need to learn all the other attacks in which you use your great health. And that's kind of like the biggest knowledge check of playing Deadpool. And his overall playstyle is just also kind of like well-rounded because he has, again, projectiles, he has neutral skips attacks, he has DPs, right? And then, for example, he has this, which is almost like a hover flight. And then if you press a button after this, you get an attack. And of course, you can extend it with actually assist, depending on the version that you do. So it is, I would say, again, a character that I would not play if I'm a beginner, at least at the start. Unless you really like him, you can of course play him anyway. Like, I'm just giving you advice if you're maybe on, you know, the doubt of if you want to pick him up or not. But overall, he's gonna be really fun to play. So even if you are a beginner and you just like the character, the big incentive to play him is that he's gonna be one of the most fun characters in the game because of all the attacks that he does with his great health ride that are crazy like references, and because his playstyle is gonna be hilarious. Like, you're gonna laugh even by just playing the character. But that's kind of like my overview of Deadpool. He's arguably one of the weirdest characters in the game, actually. He's fairly unique, and he feels like a more technical and complex character. And by the way, when you actually get, you know, your great health, you can still use your other moves. your regular moves. It's just that you get access to new ones if you use, sorry, the input from one of your moves and then the medium button, because specifically you get new moves by doing inputs and medium. Okay, so that is the overall, I would say, overview of Deadpool. He's really cool, but it can be a bit overwhelming for a new player. And then his assists, he has good assists because he has the multi-hit gun, right? He has multi-hit gun in the projectile assist. Then if you put him as your DP assist, he just does as his regular DP. Oh wait, I'm getting confused with the slots. There you go. He does his regular DP attack, which is not crazy, but also not bad at all. And then the unique one is actually, yeah, the like unique, his own unique attack, but he does a multi-hit version of it. Because when you do regular unique, you actually only get it once. So the fact that he's doing the 2-hit version of it is actually pretty good. So I wouldn't, use him as my assist personally. I feel like if you use him as your assist, you're kind of losing on the overall idea of playing Deadpool, which is doing all the crazy moves, to be honest. But at the end of the day, you can play him in any position that you want. I also forgot that he has this, which is actually like grenades, okay? He has access to grenades by pressing back and unique. And he essentially gets like setups with the grenades, right? And different elemental versions of them. And you can throw them to just hit your opponent. And then with also, what is it called? By just keeping press the unique, you get like the double hit version that he's doing in his assists, actually, when you're controlling the character. And by pressing forward and unique, you just get this weird, like, it's like a parry, but it's a fake parry because you get great health. So it is essentially the same purpose of using the other attacks to damage yourself and then get access to the other new special moves. And that would be, the overview of Deadpool. He can be quite hard, but if you like him, still just play him and have fun. And now we get into Loki. And Loki is arguably one of the most unique characters in the entire roster. For example, his actual unique button is a full screen ice projectile that can actually, freeze people on place. And then you can get full combos from it. So it is very, very like different from what the other characters do in the game. Then on top of that, for example, you can put the unique in any angle that you want by pressing directions. You can put it like in the ground close to you, close to your opponent. You can put it in the air as well. And it has the same effect if you actually hit them. They still get frozen with the ice. For example, also his fireballs are different from everybody else because he does fireballs while moving. Okay, he moves forward with like a short hop and then throws a fireball. If you do the medium version, it also has the ice effect outside of only having, the unique jump property that it has. His DP, for example, motion is not an anti-air. It's actually another projectile. The light version is a multi-hit, like combo extender, right? You can do it, and then you jump and extend your combo. It's actually kind of tough to do. But you can use it like mid-combo and then jump and do other stuff. If you do the medium version, it is also a multi-hit orb attack, but you can actually do it without getting the opponent hit. Like all the orbs appear, even if you do it on whiff. Then his quarter circuit back attack is this staff attack that has a lot of range. The medium version is actually a cross-up, and you can do, for example, medium into coloring and assist, and you get a full combo with a cross-up attack, which is pretty strong. So overall, Loki is really different from like everybody else in the roster. He does so many things that are completely unique when compared to the rest of the characters. So if you really like his moveset, I would encourage you to play him. But a lot of the stuff that you're going to learn playing Loki is maybe not going to transfer necessarily to all of the other roster, all the other characters in the game. Then on top of all of this, he also has feints or actual clones, okay? If you do, for example, the light or medium version of your special moves and you actually hold the button, you can get either a feint by holding light, or you can get a clone style of attack by holding medium. And then if your opponent hits the clone, you can get a follow-up from it, or like a full-on combo or punish. So you can do the same in the air also. It's not only in the ground, by the way. And you can do it from any of your special moves. So like the character is very tricky. It's probably going to be quite hard to play. And it's going to be one of the characters that is going to need like more advanced tech to actually optimize him. And also the usage of the clones and the feints can be a bit overwhelming, I would say, for a new player. But that is, what Loki does. He's really, really different from everybody else, super unique, but at the same time, he can be very fun. So if you like Loki, you can still play him, and have fun. I've been playing the character, and I'm not even using the clones or the feints that much. I'm just, playing him like a regular mid-range / sonar character, and that's kind of it. So you don't need to use the crazy stuff at the start, and you can still have fun. And when it comes to assists, he actually has really good assists because he has the, Sure Hop Fireball as a fireball assist, which covers a ton of range. Then if you put Loki as your anti-air assist, he actually just does the orb attack, right? But the thing is that he does the light version. So this is almost more like a combo extension tool. And it works like a launcher. But it's not really like a classic anti-air. And then if you put Loki as the back assist, oh, my bad. He actually does the ice version of the fireball into a follow-up. It's almost again like a C assist from Dragon Ball, similar to what Blade does also. So overall, I would say that you can put Loki in any position. Probably not the anti-air one, though. The anti-air is pretty bad, but Loki as your point, your fireball, or your back assist is pretty good. And the character is super unique. I don't know if I would recommend him for new players because he can be hard to play in comparison to the easier ones in the roster, but he's still fairly fun and very, very like interesting. So you can pick him up, of course, if you like Loki. Okay, now we move into the villains, and first we gotta talk about Dr. Doom. And Doom is essentially, I would say, a zoner that is also good against zoners. Okay, he's like the primal zoner of the game because his unique is actually great against projectiles, is immune to the enemy projectiles, and then he has his own projectiles. So even though he's not a traditional zoner, it's not the only thing that he does. A very important part of his moveset is just nullifying like the projectiles of the enemy and using his own. It's a very, very important part of his playstyle overall. Then, for example, aside of the unique and also the quarter circle forward projectile, he has his down input, which is more like a set play, style of projectile, but it still works for zoning if you actually put, all of this stuff down. It's hard to deal with this character, so people are gonna deal sometimes with the laser on zoning, even if they don't want to. He can also do the projectiles in the air, which is really, really strong, and even he can get full combos from some interactions because he can do, for example, EX quarter circle forward, which is his EX projectile, into the EX version of quarter circle back, and he teleports full screen, and you can get a full-on combo. So overall, like, the character just can do almost everything. I, dropped the super there by the end, but he's very versatile as a zoner and as an anti-zoner character. And the fact that you can get full combos from this, you cannot tell me that a bad zoner is a character that gets, full screen combo routes from his actual zoning attacks. So that's, the first layer of Doom's identity. And then the next one is just pressure and like setups, because you can put the laser down for offense, right? You can use your quarter circle or sorry, your DP motion with medium, which is a combo extension tool and also is plus on block. And if you do this, on block strengths and on combos, you can get crazy setups and interactions. So overall, if you want to play Doom, it is pretty much with the goal of either being a very good zoner or being like a setup-based character with your unique, with the laser, with, the DP medium move and stuff like that. He also has a teleport instead of a dash, which is a very unique thing about him. And it allows him to cross people up and has decent mix-up ability because, for example, you can call an assist and then do your teleport. And it essentially gives you an opportunity to do interactions with assist and mix-up that other characters cannot do. So that's another important thing about Dr. Doom. And finally, he has good assists, okay? All of his assists are pretty good because he has his projectile assist, which is the laser, right? Then if you put him as your DP assist, he actually does just the anti-air same projectile, but from the anti-air version, which is pretty strong. And then the back assist is the laser, which is great for setups, to extend combos. So overall, you can play Doom in any position. I think that he works in any position in your team, but he's a pretty good point character because dealing with Doom when you don't have any assists to help you out from the zoning and all the keep out that he has is actually pretty hard. So like Doom as a point character seems pretty strong. And he's also quite, I would say, beginner friendly because he can just spam some attacks, man. Like he's not that hard to play, aside from the fact that his movement can feel a bit weird and his combos I get can be tough depending on the character that you want to play, but in comparison, sorry, that you want to put with Doom. But I wouldn't say that he's the hardest character in the game or anything of that sort. So he's still pretty decent for beginners, and that would be the overview for Dr. Doom. And now we move into Magneto, and Magneto, in my opinion, is kind of like the closest thing we have in the roster of this game to a traditional zoner because he has so many good fireballs. His quarter circle forward fireball, light, for example, is really good. Then the medium one is an anti-air projectile. In the air you can do it and it becomes a diagonal one, right? You can also do the light one again and it's horizontal. And his unique is actually also another fireball, and he has this mechanic in which he puts metal on the screen and that enhances his special moves, and that includes all the fireballs as well. So the character is pretty much designed around the zoning, and that is the most like simple layer of his game plan. He does have other special moves that are good, that are different. For example, he has a command grab from his DP input. The light version is the regular command grab, and then the medium one is an N tier command grab, so that is kind of like your actual N tier special move, right? Then he also has, for example, for the down input, this attack, which is mostly like a, you know, full screen check. It's not like a regular projectile because it sucks your opponent in. And if you block this, from what I remember, Magneto is actually plus. But if you have also all the metal on the screen, it becomes like a combo starter attack. It is not only, you know, a knockdown or a regular kind of like, what is it called? Like check, it actually becomes a full-on combo starter. So this character has a lot going for him as a zoner and as a more, you know, like a long range style of fighter, because he controls the screen so well. So if you really want to play a more center character on zoning and projectiles, I would say Magneto is the character that you gotta play. Even if he has these other attacks, you know, that transform into more like pressure and stuff like that, he's still mostly a zoner. And then his assists are actually really good, because since he's a zoner, he has an amazing projectile assist. Then his DP assist, if I'm not mistaken, is actually just the command grab, right? No, it's actually the anti-air fireball, okay? So he has multiple anti-airs at the end of the day, the command grab and the fireball is his moveset. And then finally, his back assist is actually the one that sucks, you know, people in. And it is a full combo starter because it gives you the one that is enhanced already. So this assist is nuts, okay? If you can actually use this to get like some crazy combo interactions with your point character, it can be super strong that you have access to an assist like this. So Magneto is a character that I would either play as my point, my projectile assist, or my back assist. That is kind of like the best way to optimize the character, and just spam your projectiles, spam your unique, spam, you know, your fireballs. And when you see an opportunity to get maybe a big hit with your down attack, then boom, you get a full combo from that if you get the most enhanced version. And if you're closer, you can also get from only one, I think, of the scrap metals, if I'm not mistaken, because when you have only one, you get a follow-up, but it's not like a full-on, you know, like ground bounce, but it still allows you to do an extension. So that's Magneto, just a zoner with pretty decent, you know, combo ability that does good damage and can actually just control the neutral very, very well. And it's also decent for beginners because he's not that complex, I would say. He's actually quite simple and straightforward. Then we have the Green Goblin. And Green Goblin in this game, I would say, is actually one of the hardest characters to play because he's very tricky. Like, his moveset is very, like, untraditional. Even though he has some projectiles, right, and bombs to create, like, set play setups and stuff like that. And they stay, like, in the screen a lot, so they can work also, like, zoning tools. At the end of the day, the thing that makes the Green Goblin in this game what he is the glider. And using the glider, for example, as a projectile with the down input is the first layer of using the actual attack. But then if you use the medium version, you get a glider that comes back and it can hit you and your opponent. So that's already something very unique about the character. And if you press the unique button, you get attacks that then follow up into being on top of the glider. And when you are on the glider, you have different attacks from their regular moves, okay? You get a completely different moveset. So this character is arguably one of the most complex characters in the entire roster. I would say that if you're new to fighting games, I would actually avoid playing the Green Goblin at the start, because he might be, you know, one of the hardest characters in the game, to be completely honest with you. And that's kind of like the entire idea of the character, really. It's just a very tricky, like, technical character with a ton of projectiles and setup tools with the bombs and things like that. And to also have good movement with the glider, you can press back and unique, and you're up on the glider for free. You don't need to do an actual, you know, attack before it. But the glider does have a meter, so it does go down if you actually use it a lot, and then you just need to play without it. And the thing about the Green Goblin that is hard, I would say also, is that a lot of his attacks are actually, a lot of his combos are actually, like, dependent on you using the glider. Like, this character needs to use the glider to do high damage combos. It's not like it's only that you need the glider to do some crazy setups or only to throw projectiles. No, like the glider is a basic thing for your combo routing. So overall, like I'm saying, this character is not easy, but it's really fun. I played this character in the open beta. I don't know if I'm gonna play him again because it was very technical, so I want to try the other characters first to go back to a character like this after. But if you like the Green Goblin, if you're super new to fighting games, maybe think about it twice. But if you love him, if you really, really like him, just play him anyway, have fun, and take time, you know, be patient about how to understand the character. And then his assists are pretty, like, meh, to be honest. Like, his projectile is not the best, because this loses against, like, almost all the other projectiles in the game. Then if you put him as your DP assist, he has just the same thing, but, you know, the same projectile, but as the anti-air version. And then his back assist is actually the one that is really good, because it is a multi-hit glider attack that is full screen. So if you want to play Goblin, it's either that you actually control the character and it's your point character, or because you use him as your back assist, it is arguably the best way to play the character. So that's the Green Goblin, you know, hard to play. It's not necessarily the best character for beginners, but it's also really fun. So if you really want to give the character a try, you know, still do it, you know, and try to see how much you like him. And now it is the turn for Carnage. And Carnage in this game is a very interesting character. I would say that the one that is the most similar to him on our first layer is actually Ghost Rider, because he has very long range attacks. The difference is that Ghost Rider has very, you know, big normals. Carnage actually has big special moves, okay? This is his quarter circle forward light, or his quarter circle forward medium as well. And this one is his unique, okay? When you press the unique, you get this giant attack that is like a bite, and it puts a debuff state in the opponent that is called Necrosis. And after that, you can actually enhance your special moves by pressing the special move into Necrosis, and you get a bomb effect that actually, for example, works to extend combos. You know, he has the debuff now, and if I do this into the Necrosis, it actually gives me a full combo route that I was not able to do before. So that is kind of like the first layer of gameplay with Carnage, just playing in the long range with his quarter circle forward light and medium, and then also with the unique to get the debuff on the opponent. The thing about the unique also that is important, and the Necrosis debuff, is that people actually can block this attack, and for what I understand, they still get the debuff. So the idea is that this not only works as a combo extension tool, it is also for chip damage, okay? Chip damage is when an opponent is blocking and they still get hit, or they, you know, lose health because of the specific chip damage mechanic in the game. And with Carnage, if the opponent is actually blocking, let me put this guy to block actually, and you put the Necrosis down, they get hit, from what I understand, by extra chip damage. You know, if you take a look at the health bar of Captain America and I do a couple of special moves, they actually have, you know, like a bigger amount of gray health, and that is the chip damage that is getting hit because of the Necrosis. So it is not only that Carnage wants to play in the long range to kind of like get, you know, some big hits, it's also that you want to put the Necrosis debuff on top to actually then run your offense and, you know, do a lot of damage with the debuff instead of only on hit. It is actually also about the chip damage. And finally, of course, he does have other special moves. It's not only about the long range and the Necrosis debuff. He also has good anti-airs, because he has this DP, which is on both sides. So it's gonna be hard to cross Carnage, you know, to do cross-ups on Carnage, because he has this crazy DP that is really, really good. And then his down input is actually a giant axe that has armor. So this move is going to be really good for your strengths. It's going to be a way to stop people from mashing, because they're going to get clipped by this attack if they're actually pressing buttons on your block strings. And I think that you can get a full combo from the medium one. Yeah. So this move is really good for your block strings. You should be using it if you're playing against somebody that is mashing a lot. It's a good way to stop them from pressing their buttons, right? That is the down medium attack. And the light one also has armor, but it's not a combo starter. And then finally, he also has this. This is like a multi-hit, you know, Rekka style attack. It is mostly just end combos and get extensions from it, get the wall stick or the wall transition and things like that, because you can also do it in the air. So it is kind of like the basic, you know, special move to get combo extensions and get your teammates because of the transition mechanic from the wall. And also, if you do it in the air, it is actually a dive kick, okay? And the version in the air, I think it's a combo extender. Yeah, the medium dive kick is actually a combo starter, so that is also another thing to take into consideration. And the light one causes the wall stick both in the ground and in the air. So that is Carnage. It's a relatively simple character, actually, I would say. So if you're new, I would encourage you to play Carnage. Like, he's not that hard to play on a first layer. His game plan is super straightforward, like the long range attacks right into the Necrosis debuff, and then just you have good anti-airs, you have your combo extension tools, and you have your armor axe attack. So the character is not like insanely hard. It's not a character that's gonna be super hard to play. So yeah, that is Carnage and his playstyle. And when it comes to his assist, his forward assist is actually just the giant limb attack. It's not an actual fireball. So it is really good because the range is stupid. Okay, so this is actually one of the best, I would say, fireball attacks in the game. It's really strong. Then his end tier is just the actual DP that he does. And his back assist is actually the kind of like Necrosis extension that you get from doing the special move. So it is again the giant special move that he has, the limb, but he does the Necrosis bomb explosion from it, or like he sucks people in after, which is similar to what he does when he has the Necrosis state up. So that is Carnage. He's a pretty good character if you ask me for beginners. He's quite simple, quite straightforward, and also very fun. He's probably going to be really fun, especially with the axe armor attack. You're going to clip people with that. So that is the overview for Carnage in this game. And then we have the last character in the video, and it is the champion. You can unlock the champion by just playing episode mode at least once. You beat him and you get the character, and he's the grabber of the game. He's the guy with the command grabs, okay? He has a lot of command grabs in his unique. He has this one, and also down unique is actually an end-tier command grab and has a different animation. So it is, I think, the people's elbow, this one, right? Yes. So he has two different command grabs in his unique, and then he actually also has another command grab, which is his DP motion, okay? His DP motion has armor, and he does this stance, right, in which he puts his two hands and then just gets you with an actual command grab. I'm pretty sure that this works almost like a counter because it has armor. So if somebody tries to hit you with a, mid, for example, with a regular attack, and you do this, you actually absorb the attack and then command grab them. So he's going to be the grappler of the roster. But he's not only a grappler, he does have other moves. Like, he's actually quite well-rounded because he has fireballs, and he has, a regular fireball that is super fast and like covers the screen. And then the medium one is actually this like almost set play style of fireball because it's multi-hit and it travels a bit slower. And the EX one is actually just a super fast fireball. Then the quarter sticker back attack that he has is this like neutral skip kick. And the medium one is actually full screen, and it causes a wall bounce. So the character is kind of stupid when it comes to how you're gonna use like his moveset, in the sense that he's relatively, unorthodox in comparison to the rest of the characters in the game, with his ranges, the way in which his special moves work, the fact that he's the only grappler. But he's really fun and super unique. And then actually, like I said, relatively well-rounded with how he has command grabs, fireballs, right, neutral skip attacks, and then his down input is actually this dive kick style of attack. And if you do the medium version, it is actually a full combo starter. I think only in the corner though, because it causes this like crazy bounces, right, and then you can actually combo with the rest of your, attacks and all of that. But the thing is that the champion cannot use assists. Okay, he does not have access to assist. If you press the assist button, he actually just gets this taunts, and if you see, he has a meter in the downwards part of the screen that is going up, and if the meter actually gets to the full part, you transform. You get a new version of the champion that has other attacks, and it is actually very interesting in the sense that he gets assist when he actually transforms. So we have to wait until we get the actual transformation. So let's just do some combos and stuff. The other thing also that is important that I almost forgot is that he cannot do like regular strengths, okay? This character can do, for example, stand medium into down medium. It doesn't work. So you can do medium and to stand heavy because it links, but it's not a real strength. I think that now we have like the entire meter, and if you do a command grab when you have the entire meter, for example, you transform. And that's kind of like the entire, idea of the champion. You have to get this install so you get access to your own assist. So he has clones of himself that actually work like his own assist, and they have different versions. Like, for example, if you press forward, down, or back, they do have different style of assist, just like if you had a regular team. And you do your regular, combos like any other character. So that is the idea of the champion. You need to get to the install. It's gonna take a while though, so every time that you play the champion, you kind of need to get this taunts down to actually get the full meter and, you know, get the install. From what I understand, when you do combos and things like that, it also enhances the meter a little bit, but it's not that noticeable. So it's not like it is super easy to actually get the transform version of the champion. And that's the character. That's the last one in the video. So I hope that you enjoyed the overview of all the characters in the roster. Like I said, this video has the goal of just teaching you very easily what it is that every character does, if they're easy or not to play. For example, what is their playstyle and archetype, but it's not a comprehensive guide. I'm gonna make guides ideally for every character in the game because my idea is to cover this game extensively since I like it a lot and I love Marvel games. And I'm probably gonna make, you know, an in-depth guide for every single character in the game over time. It's probably gonna take months, but it's gonna happen eventually, like I did with other games as well, in which I cover a ton of the characters. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and see you on the next one. Enjoy Marvel Tōkon.